28th of October 2021, 1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum, this is Radio Pakistan, the news read by Humayun Zebabasi. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has convened a meeting of the National Security Committee tomorrow to discuss issues related to the national security. Pakistan voicing serious concerns over India's jingoistic pursuit of lethal weapons, says recent missile tests by New Delhi will further vitiate political and security environment in the region. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred one more Kashmiri youth in Baramulla district today. Former U.S. Special Envoy for Afghanistan reconciliation has urged Biden administration to engage Taliban to help ease humanitarian crisis in that country. Palestinian president has called on the United States to implement its pledge of rejecting Israeli approval of new homes in Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. And in the ICC T20 World Cricket Cup, Australia will take on Sri Lanka at Dubai today. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has convened the meeting of National Security Committee tomorrow to discuss situation emerged as a result of illegal acts of a proscribed organization. In a tweet, Minister for Information and Broadcasting Chaudhry Fawad Hussain said other matters relating to the national security will also be discussed during the meeting. The advisor on national security, Moeed Yusuf, says Ban Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan has crossed the red line and exhausted state's patience, and it should be mindful of the fact that there would be no armed militias of any sort in our country. In a tweet today, Moeed Yusuf clarified that for all individuals and groups who think they could challenge the writ of the Pakistani state, do not test the proposition. The advisor on national security, Moeed Yusuf, has stressed the need of utilizing modern media techniques to build a reality-based positive narrative of Pakistan. Addressing a seminar in Islamabad today, he said better coordination and national dialogue on key issues are prerequisites. The advisor regretted that for the last 20 years, West has portrayed a negative image of Pakistan and our efforts remained unsatisfactory to counter this approach. He said the contrary to the reality, Pakistan was presented as a problem in Afghan issue, but the world has realized it now the reality. Moeed Yusuf also emphasized on adopting proactive and unapologetic approach to counter the fake propaganda of our eastern neighborhood, India. Ambassador of Uzbekistan to Pakistan, Obek Osmanov, held a meeting with National Security Advisor Moeed Yusuf in Islamabad and discussed the upcoming visit of Uzbekistan's National Security Advisor to Pakistan. Speaking on the occasion, they described the upcoming visit of historic importance for both countries, which will pave the way for promotion of bilateral cooperation. Minister for Energy Hamad Azhar says the economy is witnessing a robust growth, expressing the confidence it may be even higher than the last year. In a tweet today, he said the demand of high-speed diesel has increased by 26%, whilst petrol consumption has risen by 14% during first quarter of current fiscal year. He said similarly, electricity consumption has also risen by 13% during this calendar year. Advisor on Commerce Razak Daud says Jordan has notified 3 of Pakistan's slaughterhouses for import of bovine, sheep, goat and camel meat. In a tweet today, he urged the country's exporters to take advantage of opportunities offered by this non-traditional market for meat and to seek other sectors like potato, mango, quinoa and onion to diversify exports from Pakistan. Pakistani Navy ship PNS Alamgir has taken part in joint exercise in Egypt. The officers of Pakistan Navy also held meetings with the officers of the host Navy and discussed matters of mutual interest and maritime cooperation. Earlier, the PNS Alamgir participated in a bilateral exercise with the Japanese ship Yugure. Under Combined Task Force 151, the PNS Alamgir also participated in a multinational anti-piracy operation. This is Radio Pakistan. Pakistan has voiced serious concerns over India's jingoistic pursuit of lethal weapons. Responding to the queries of media at the weekly news briefing in Islamabad today regarding test firing of nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missile by India, Foreign Office spokesperson Asim Iftikhar said New Delhi's hostile posturing toward its neighbor further imperils peace and stability in South Asia. The spokesperson said it must be alarming for international community that at a time when the region is already facing the growing and real threat of extremist Hindutva ideology, which exposes territorial expansion, BJP RSS government is seeking an arm race. The spokesperson said recent missile tests by India will further vitiate the political and security environment in the region. Permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations Munir Akram has urged youth to get involved in building public opinion to support Kashmiri people's struggle for their right to self-determination. Addressing Pakistani American students in New York who participated in an event to observe Kashmir Black Day at Pakistan Consulate, he asked them to help create awareness among people in the United States about the Kashmir issue, exposing the gross human rights abuses in the disputed territory. Pakistan's ambassador to China, Moinul Haq, says despite endless atrocities of Indian forces against innocent Kashmiris, New Delhi has failed to break their resolve. Addressing a function in connection with Kashmir Black Day, observed with solemnity at the Embassy of Pakistan in Beijing, he said Indian repression in occupied Kashmir has especially become more intensified and horrifying levels after August 2019's illegal and unilateral actions of the Indian occupation authorities. The ambassador said the entire Pakistani nation had and would continue to stand with the Kashmiri brethren in their just struggle for self-determination. He also appreciated the principled stance of China on Kashmir dispute and China's support in raising the issue at the United Nations Security Council. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred one Kashmiri youth in Baramulla district today. The troops killed the youth Javed Ahmed during a cordon search operation in Chadadari area of the district. The All Parties Hurriyat Conference has thanked the people of the held territory and Kashmiri diaspora for observing October 27 as Black Day and organizing peaceful protest rallies against the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir military invasion of Kashmir on the day in 1947. The APHC spokesman in a statement in Srinagar said that by observing the Black Day, the people in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and the Kashmiri diaspora reiterated their pledge to never accept India's forcible occupation of their motherland and to resist its military aggression at any cost. The former United States Special Envoy for Afghanistan Reconciliations Al-Mikhalilzad has said the Biden administration should engage the Taliban to help ease the humanitarian crisis unfolding in the country now. In an interview, he said Taliban are seeking normal relations with the US and want the US to reopen its embassy in Kabul, lift financial sanctions and provide economic assistance. Israel has planned more than 3,100 new homes in Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. A senior Palestinian official said the decision showed that Israel's new government is no less extreme than the previous administration. Earlier, the United States opposed the plan, terming it damaging to prospect for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Meanwhile, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has rejected the approval of new homes in Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. In a statement, he called on the United States to implement its pledge to reject settlements and Israeli unilateral measures. In Ethiopia, 6 people have been killed and 21 others injured in an airstrike conducted by government forces on militants' hideout in Mekelle city. Now the news about cricket. In the ICC T20 Cricket World Cup, Australia will take on Sri Lanka at Dubai today. The match will start at 7 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. And finally, the weather report. Mainly dry weather expected in most areas of the country, while cold in northern areas during the next 12 hours. Once again, we'll look into the headlines. Prime Minister has convened a meeting of the National Security Committee tomorrow to discuss issues related to the national security. Pakistan voicing serious concerns over India's diagnostic pursuit of lethal weapons, says recent missile tests by New Delhi will further reshape political and security environment in the region. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred one more Kashmiri youth in Baramulla district today. Former U.S. Special Envoy for Afghanistan Reconciliation has urged Biden administration to engage Taliban to help ease humanitarian crisis in that country. Palestinian president has called on the United States to implement its pledge of rejecting Israeli approval of new homes in Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. And in the ICC 20 Cricket World Cup, Australia will take on Sri Lanka at Dubai today. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, you can always log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Office.